Somewhere in the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, locked in a climate-controlled vault, sits what many scholars consider the most mysterious object in the history of human knowledge. It is a small book, roughly the size of a modern paperback, written on vellum in the early 15th century. It contains approximately 240 pages. Every single word in it has been unreadable for 600 years. The manuscript contains hundreds of illustrations, plants that do not match any known species, astronomical diagrams depicting stars and celestial bodies that do not correspond to known constellations, elaborate bathing scenes showing groups of women in interconnected pools, and pharmaceutical drawings of roots and containers. Winding between and around every illustration is text written in a fluid, confident hand, in an alphabet that appears nowhere else in recorded human history. The book takes its modern name from Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish antiquarian and rare book dealer who purchased it in 1912 from the Jesuit college at Villa Mondragone near Rome, Italy. Voynich recognized immediately that he had acquired something extraordinary. The manuscript came with a letter dated 1666 suggesting it had once been owned by Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who reportedly paid 600 gold ducats for it, an enormous sum that indicated whoever sold it to him believed it was extraordinarily valuable. In 2009, the University of Arizona subjected the manuscript's vellum to radiocarbon dating. The results placed the creation of the parchment itself between 1404 and 1438, the early to mid-15th century. The ink and pigments have not been independently dated, but most researchers accept the vellum date as indicating the manuscript was written during the same period. This is not a modern forgery. Whatever it is genuinely old. The botanical section of the manuscript is particularly strange. It contains illustrations of approximately 113 plants, roots, stems, leaves, and flowers depicted in careful detail. Botanists and biologists who have studied these illustrations extensively have been unable to match most of them to any known plant species, living or extinct. Some researchers believe the plants are imaginary. Others believe they represent real plants that the illustrator drew from memory or description, combining features from different species into composite images. The astronomical section contains circular diagrams that resemble zodiac charts and cosmological maps. Some circles appear to show the sun and moon. Others contain figures that may represent constellations or planets. One famous diagram, sometimes called the rosette diagram, shows what appears to be a complex cosmological or geographical map with 9 connected circular sections arranged in a 3x3 grid. No one has successfully decoded what this diagram represents or what knowledge it was intended to convey. During World War II, some of the most brilliant cryptanalysts on Earth, men and women who had broken the German Enigma cipher and the Japanese Purple cipher, turned their attention to the Voynich manuscript. They failed completely. The manuscript defied every known method of cryptanalysis. There was no frequency pattern consistent with any known language. There were no obvious substitution ciphers. There were no clear mathematical regularities of the kind that typically reveal encoded messages. In the computer age, automated analysis has produced equally bewildering results. Statistical analysis shows that the Voynich text has word entropy levels consistent with natural language rather than random noise or simple substitution cipher. The text appears to follow grammatical rules of some kind, words appear in predictable positions, there are clear distinctions between what appear to be nouns and modifiers, and certain word combinations occur with the frequency typical of meaningful language. But no one has identified what language it is or what it means. Decades of competing theories have produced no consensus. Some researchers argue the manuscript is written in a constructed language, an artificial tongue invented by its author to encode secret knowledge. Others propose it is a natural language, perhaps an extinct regional dialect, written in a specially invented alphabet. A third camp suggests it may be an elaborate hoax, created specifically to appear meaningful while containing no actual content, a sophisticated fake designed to deceive wealthy patrons who would pay enormous sums for a supposedly magical or alchemical text. The content, to the extent it can be interpreted from the illustrations alone, seems consistent with a medieval herbal or medical text, the kind of book that would have contained recipes for medicines, descriptions of healing plants, astrological information relevant to medical treatment, and instructions for bathing and purification rituals. Medieval physicians and alchemists routinely encoded their most valuable knowledge to prevent competitors from copying their methods. If the Voynich Manuscript is such a text, its author was thorough beyond all measure. In 2019, a researcher named Gerard Cheshire published a paper claiming to have deciphered the manuscript as Proto-Romance, an ancestor language of the modern Romance languages. His analysis gained widespread media coverage before being sharply criticized by linguists and Voynich researchers who argued his methodology was flawed and his translation speculative. The academic consensus rejected his claims. This pattern, exciting new claims, media attention, and subsequent scholarly rejection, has repeated itself many times over the decades. What makes the Voynich manuscript especially tantalizing is that whoever wrote it was clearly doing so fluently and confidently. There are very few corrections or hesitation marks. The text flows across the pages in the manner of someone writing in their native tongue or a language they know extremely well. The illustrations, while strange, are clearly the work of a skilled artist who was depicting something specific. This was not doodling. This was deliberate, purposeful communication that no one outside the original author and their intended readers has ever understood. Contemporary analysis using multispectral imaging, ultraviolet light, and sophisticated digital enhancement has revealed additional details invisible to the naked eye, traces of marginalia, what appear to be additional markings beneath some illustrations, and evidence of careful planning in the layout of the text. None of this additional information has moved researchers significantly closer to a solution. The manuscript keeps revealing new details while withholding the fundamental key to its meaning. Today the Voynich manuscript is preserved at the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale, where it has been catalogued as MS-408. High-resolution digital scans of every page are freely available online, and researchers around the world have access to the full text. Thousands of people have dedicated years of their lives to solving the manuscript. Artificial intelligence systems have been trained on its text in hopes of finding patterns. Nothing has worked. 600 years of silence. The plants in its illustrations remain unidentified. The stars in its charts remain unmapped. The women in its bathing pools remain unexplained. The words on every page remain unread. The Voynich manuscript is the most studied unreadable document in human history, a complete and coherent communication from someone long dead, addressed to an unknown audience, about unknown knowledge, in a language the modern world has never learned to speak.